Hello everybody, this is Scott Dudley from SaaS Startup Stories, and today my special guest is Luke Caneda, who's based in France. So Lucas is the global team lead at Unicorn Incubator, which is the largest rural accelerator incubator of its kind in the world, and he's also the director of one of its startups, Challenger X, a SaaS and B2B company who are turning Davids into Goliaths through digital and traditional marketing. Welcome to the show, Lucas. You ready to rock and roll?
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here at your show. I'm happy to discuss about all these interesting stories we've got.
Excellent. All right, yeah, it should be interesting. So let's start off first with your tech background and what initially got you interested in working with SaaS startup companies.
Well, at the beginning, I was studying engineering when I was back home in Argentina. That's how tech got into me, probably. My dad's been into tech for 30 years already, on agri-tech more specifically. So I kind of lived and was grown with it. And I also became a professional rugby player. That was my dream when I was young. I knew I had to go away from Argentina to fulfill that dream because there were no professional teams back home. Okay. So that's how I came to France like 5 or 6 years ago, and how I slowly introduced myself into this world.
Okay, excellent. All right, so you're still playing rugby now?
Yeah, I'm still playing at SaaS Rugby. It's our local club. We took over the club last year. So we actually consider it one of our clients, one of our startups with whom we work with at Unicorn.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty funny because we call it our 118-year-old startup. Because even though it's pretty old, I would say, the club, it's got the same problems and it faces the same challenges that every startup does. That's why for us internally, we call it a startup anyways.
Yeah. So is that the rugby club behind you? Is it in the picture there? The what is it? Salat. Is that it?
Exactly that. That's that one. Yeah. That's actually our new logo, because when we first took in, the logo that we had, even the name was crappy, right? So we are a digital marketing agency to begin with, and when we saw the logo, even the name of the club, we told ourselves, I mean, there's no way people can identify with this brand, with this club. So we started from scratch. We redid our logo to something that's a lot more catchy, something that people can actually identify themselves with it. And that was our beginning, how we started working with it to create a brand. Not just a club, but a brand that people can identify themselves with all around the world.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Unicorn Incubator. So, go through a little bit about how you help your clients, what you do, and also how the listeners can benefit from it as well.
Sure. At the base, we are a digital marketing agency. So that's what we do most. So we do article syndication, ASO, SEO. We help businesses run through investments, meet investors. So we take startups the American way. So for us, a startup is not just an idea in your head, it's a step further. So we ask them for 3 main questions whenever we decide to work with someone. First one being that they actually have a proof of concept. Second one, that they have a couple clients. And third one is that they manage to convince, even if it's one of their family members, that what they're doing, it's going to solve some problems, not just create new ones. Because again, if you are not able to convince your own family, how are you going to convince ourselves, first and foremost? And then whenever we present you to potential investors, because every startup needs funds, you need to be able to convince them that what you're doing is worth a shot. That's why we ask those 3 first questions before we work with anyone. And during the years, we managed to, I would say, be very picky with the people we work with. We found out that we don't like to waste our time and our clients' time. So whenever there's not such a connection that's pretty clear in terms of working together, we prefer just to say no for both sakes. Because at the end of the day, we need to be able to bring some added value.
Yeah.
And in a certain period of time, if we decide to work together. And usually we invest ourselves very much into the startup. So we'd rather just keep it clear, keep it honest, because there's no point, right, in just wasting our time and the other, and our clients' time too.
Yeah. So how big's the team roughly? How many people working with you?
Right now, internally, we are 50 people working right here in Salah. We expand to 60 in the next month or 2.
Oh, okay.
So there's more people coming starting July the 1st. And we have 8 internal startups right now in here. And we also work with 5 or 6 remotely. Yeah. Because we can also help them develop. And our most, I would say that we work the most with Anglo-Saxon people. We work a lot in the US, Canada, and UK. Yeah. We don't have, I think we don't have any Australian startup yet, but I'd be willing to take some into our portfolio. It would be very nice and interesting. I know there's great stuff being done there in Australia. I mean, I love the place. I played rugby with a couple people, guys that were Australian. Nice. I enjoyed it very much, and I know there's tons of stuff being developed there, and I'll be willing and excited to be working with them. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have a potential startup that needs a hand, needs some acceleration. Be my guest. I mean, you can always reach out, and pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. So Lucas Caneda, you can find it pretty quick. Yeah. Just drop me a message and send me your deck, and we can see if there's a match, see if there's any synergy. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so then moving on to your other company, Challenger X, which is sort of one of the companies that you're working with at Unicorn Incubator. So when you started that up, did you borrow VC money to launch that, or have you bootstrapped it instead? Tell us a bit about how you actually got that off the ground.
Yeah, actually the company, it's pretty interesting because I should go a bit further back to explain it a bit more.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So we started with Solo Rugby, our rugby club, roughly 14 months ago. As I said before, we started with our logo, with our branding, with our image, having people identify themselves with the club, with the brand. And we slowly started growing and identifying the problems that every club, amateur and semi-professional club, faces in their day-to-day basis, but also in the long run, and started to solve those problems and created a know-how of how to fix them and in an effective way, right? And we've also focused a lot on the marketing side of the company. So for instance, in social media, we went from 1,500 followers 8 months ago or 9. We are over 130K today. So we are a very small club in France, so 4th or 5th division. But actually, we are the 6th club in terms of social media reach in the whole France. Yeah. So that was one of the key points that we focused on for our growth. And then we built professional sites. So we believe that no matter if you are going to an amateur club or a professional club, you should see no difference on their sites.
Okay.
You should see an online store in there that looks exactly the same as any professional club. So you shouldn't be able to see the difference. And that's what we did, and that's what we built. And we've also built it in 4 different languages. So right now you can find salerugby.com.de.fr.es. So we're running Spanish, French, English, and German,
Okay.
with content going in there every week. We've also figured out that there was a main issue with merchandise. So people were not able to buy almost anything that was related to the club, to the brand that we built. So right now we've got over 20 products that are completely customized with our colors, with our logos, and that are being sold all around town. They're being sold on Amazon. They're being sold on our website. There was another issue that we wanted to fix, because once people and fans become engaged with your club, with your brand,
Yeah.
they want to become they want more, right? So they're actually looking forward to own a piece somehow, or to support their club by having, I don't know, a mouse pad that we've got, a water bottle, or a jersey, right?
Yeah.
That identifies themselves with the club.
Yep.
Then we've also we've signed 62 different broadcast and streaming agreements all around the world to have our games and our content distributed no matter where you are, because we believe that rugby and Saddle Rugby can actually be this connection between people and rugby. We've done a research back in the day that in the US, only 12% of the people knew rugby, or understood or knew the rules. I mean, I know in Australia it's pretty much one of the main sports, so almost everyone knows the basics of these. But for instance, in the US, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And when we did that research, we said, okay, we're very happy to hear that only 12% of the people know the rules and understands rugby. But the guys doing the research, hey, aren't you selling rugby? How come you're so happy that only 12% has that? Because in our eyes, in our minds, it's the 88% that doesn't know rugby that I'm looking for. That's the opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
So we want to take rugby to them through Saddle Rugby. So we've also developed a whole new different way of sponsoring. We are actually looking for sponsors, partners, but not like the way they did before, because most of the time they were just asking for money, just help the club out, but they didn't receive much in return.
Yeah.
And right now we were actually able to create proposals, offers for them that they can use and have a benefit for supporting the club in terms of marketing, in terms of eyeballs, in terms of views, that we can run through all of our ecosystem that we built.
Yeah.
So after going through all those pain points, managing to identify all the I would say problems, but most importantly the solutions to those problems, and being able to demonstrate that we can do it, and that we already have our proof of concept.
Yeah.
If that's what we ask our clients, you preach what you sow, right? So you need to be doing what you claim what you're asking for. You need to be doing it yourself. So we created our proof of concept, and that's how Challenger X became to life. Roughly, I would say 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay. So Challenger X is a SaaS.
Yep.
It's And its main purpose is to bring to the clubs what we've done to SaaS Rugby. Give every single club, no matter what sport they are playing or no matter where they are in the world, the possibility to look and to excel like a professional club.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why turning Davids into Goliaths. So taking the small clubs and making them big. We want them to be no difference between one and the other. And our little cherry on the top, which is probably the most interesting part of the story, is that today we are in a position that we can mint a token, a social token, in 10 to 15 minutes to whatever club that we want. That means that we've already done it for SaaS Rugby. We minted a token called Sarla that we own right now, and we are in a position to do that for other clubs.
Okay.
And that brings a whole new world of DeFi, of decentralized finance, into the club that they can leverage in terms of monetization, first and foremost, but also into engaging with their user base, which is probably the most important part, because if you have your fans, if you give them a way to participate even more into the club and to actually get benefits for participating, for supporting their club, their brand, that gets you to a whole different level.
Absolutely. Okay, so at the moment, do you have a product roadmap for Challenger X for the next 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty quick. We launched it barely 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
We are going public in London in less than 6 weeks. So the idea and the objective is to be that we will be floating in the Aquis exchange. So it's the second exchange in London by mid-July.
Okay, exciting.
So yeah,
that's really exciting.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, when we decided to push it further in 8 weeks, we're like, okay, I think this is quite quick, but it's an excellent adventure. We're going as fast as we can because there's lots to do, and actually there's lots of clubs that have already reached out to us to understand or to ask, how did you get there with Sarla? How you did it? How have you done it? Can we do it ourselves? And that's where we said, yes, we are putting this in place. You can sign up already to Challenger X. We've got our website already running into a landing page. So it's challengerx.io. So people can get there, can register. They can sign to a 4-month pre-register. So for first come, first serve. We've got plenty of teams already signing up. So we've received, I mean, people from all over the world, but also from every club, not just rugby. In fact, right now at our offices, we have a football club that came to us to understand the project a bit more and to be a part of. I mean, they were one of the first teams to sign up. And we have teams from basketball leagues. Even weirder, we got 15 or 16 badminton teams that actually reach out to us. We don't know how, but they say, "Hey, I want to be a part of it." Okay, I didn't know we were having that much reach with SaaS Rugby, but interesting, yeah. How can we help?
Completely different sport, I
mean, every club is facing the same problems in terms of fidelization of their fans, monetization, sponsoring, branding. If you see most of the clubs, you can see the difference between a professional club and an amateur or semi-professional club right away. That's what we are trying to solve.
All right. So from your experience working with all these tech companies, what are the most profitable customer acquisition channels to bring in new customers?
That's very interesting. I think it changes from one to the other. It depends a lot of the objective or of the companies. I do like very much the influencer marketing. I think it works very well when you are able to give the people the possibility to match and to find their synergies with the guys that they already follow.
Yeah.
So in terms of influencer marketing, what I think is very interesting is that you leverage others people's influence. Yeah. So what I was saying is that the interesting thing about influencer marketing, which it comes back to podcasts too, because I do think you are an influencer of your own, having your podcast show, is that I can be at your show, for instance, and talk to the people that are listening to us, but I come through you. So the people that are already listening to your show, they know the value that you bring. They know the people that you bring to your show, the value that they are bringing. And that's how myself, I gain that engagement with your people right now.
Yes.
And that's very interesting for me in terms of user acquisition when you do influencer marketing, because the engagement rates at the end of the day are a lot higher, and you are able to identify and to look up for niches and target audience that are much more precise, that you can actually go to them through an influencer and reach out into much higher engagements than if you try to reach out on your own.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, for me, I think it's a very powerful tool. Not everyone is using it, which I believe everyone should. Same happens again with podcasts. We've been running podcasts for the last, I would say, at least 6 months. Mainly our CEO and myself, we've been into shows because we understand the power that podcasts have right now. The statistics are insane. People actually listen to podcasts. They don't just, the engagement rates with all the other social media, it's probably 2 or 3 seconds. So you just scroll your phone into the next and you don't just pay much attention.
That's true. Yeah.
But podcast is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
The stats show that 80% of the people that actually start listening to a show, they end it. So they listen all the way through, no matter if the podcast lasts for 30, 45 or 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. A huge difference. Yeah. Good point.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We believe that it's actually speaking in front of X amount of people.
Yeah.
It's got the same force.
Okay. And then on the flip side, what advice would you have for startups to reduce churn and to retain paying customers?
I would say user experience. We also ran inside internally, which an esports platform. So we've been running it for the past 4 to 5 months. And I believe that whenever you give the user an outstanding experience, they come back. When you give the users what they're looking for, they keep using what you're doing. You can see that straight away into Google Analytics. For instance, you can check the average time spent on the website, for instance.
Yeah.
and that changes drastically when you actually give people the will to be there and to engage with what they're using, what they're listening or reading.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say user experience is a, a powerful tool to always have, I mean, at least one side of your mind
Yeah.
focused on that, so that people have a nice time. Because right now, I mean, what do people need? What do users need? Why do they use whatever you are providing? In most cases, it's because they want the experience, or they want to learn, or they want to listen to us talking, for instance. So if you give them a good experience, they'll come back.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. All right. So from your experience, what are the most common mistakes that inexperienced SaaS founders make?
I would say that in my opinion, right, don't have a crystal ball, but one of the things I found the most people struggle with is that they are actually, it's so easy to create a company right now, which it was not back in the day. But right now you can just create a company out of nowhere, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
But most people fail, especially in the SaaS world, to build a company that's actually providing a solution and not another problem. So many of the companies out there fail because instead of making lives easier for their customers, they're just making it a lot more complicated.
Yeah, they're just trying to sell their product, basically.
Yeah, but if the product doesn't serve a purpose,
what's the point of it?
And that happens many times.
It does. Yeah, it's a common problem. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, if the product is not market worth, then there's no product. I mean, if there's no customers, you can have the most important company in the world, but if you're not selling anything, at the end of the day, you go bankrupt.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. All right. So this question's a little bit similar, but what do you think is the single biggest challenge that SaaS founders are experiencing right now to grow their companies?
I do think it's mainly with every single startup, I would say, not just SaaS, funding. Funding is always crucial, especially in the startup world. Most people that are founding a company, they are just bootstrapping themselves.
Yes.
Which I don't think it's a problem. I actually think it's a very good proof of concept. If you are convincing yourself that this is worth a shot, that's one of the things we analyze whenever we speak to our clients. Is the passion that they have, how much invested are they in what they're doing? Because whenever we work with a client, we don't want to take the work away from them. We're just there to support them and to help them succeed, but we don't want to run the whole company for them.
I see.
That's not our objective. So if we don't see the passion in there, if we don't see that they are able to just roll up their sleeves and work and do whatever it takes to make it succeed. If you don't do it yourself, there's not going to be anyone else to do it for you. So I would say after that, you need funding, you need funds to accelerate, you need money to market, you need money to go into customer acquisition, to bridge that gap of being a startup and growing. And as a matter of fact, we are hosting an event called the Startup Super Cup, 1, 2, 3 October in here in Sarlat, physically, to solve this problem, because we are bringing startups and investors from all over the world, but we are being very picky, the same way we are with our clients. We are bringing startups that we believe that are actually adding value to the ecosystem. only tech startups. We have identified themes that are very much aligned to what we do. For instance, fintech, DeFi, cybersecurity, agri-tech. I'm missing a couple, but sports, esports, those are the themes that are going to be present at the event.
Okay.
Since we've attended so many events, especially our CEO, he's been to at least 200 of them.
Okay.
We always find that there's a main problem in there that we want to fix. That is that startups are on one side, investors are on the other. The actual connections, the meetings that are being done are not that many. And why are people attending this kind of events? It's not just to have a glass of wine and a piece of cheese in here in France. It's actually to do business, or that at least that's how we see it. And that's the people that we want to bring to the event. So we are hosting the event in 500-meter radius.
Yeah.
So everyone will be connecting with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And the ratio between investors and startups, we change it. Instead of having more startup than investors, we are doing completely the opposite. We are bringing 8 investors for each startup.
Okay. All right.
That's a ratio that you don't find elsewhere.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because in our eyes, the success or not of the event is going to be judged in terms of how much investment has been done into companies.
Yeah.
How many companies have been funded? How many jobs have we created through that? And not just by the amount of people attending to the event.
Yes. Makes
So
sense.
when we decide the investors that we are bringing, we are actually asking them for proof of what companies have they invested in the last 12 months.
Okay.
Because we don't want people, I mean, investors, we have investors all over the world that can pay a plane ticket to be here and just have some fun. There's plenty of those. But we want to bring people actually ready to invest, to fund the startups that we are bringing to the event, because that connection is vital for success in both sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if there's any startups listening or investors, feel free to come up, contact us, and sign up.
So that's an actual physical event, is it? It's not online.
Yeah, that's physical.
Yeah.
The reason why is because we believe that I mean, a guy willing to write a check for $100,000, it's usually better when you meet face to face. You are able to discuss, and you're able to engage a lot better with the startup that you are investing in.
Agree. Yeah.
Even though we are having, I would say, thanks to COVID, a lot more digital meetings right now. I do think that at the end of the day, the physical encounter, it's always necessary, I would say.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right. So just wondering, what's your favorite business book?
Oh, I do like a couple. I like the simplicity of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay, yeah.
For instance, I think Robert's pretty good into explaining how things should be easier and not complicated. This is, I mean, we actually try to stand by that, and we always say, you know, the acronym KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Ah, yes, yeah, yeah.
So we try to use that in our business model too.
Yeah.
And also, I would say the hook points. It's also very interesting how nowadays you've got people reaching out, selling every single time. We receive ourselves hundreds of mails a day with CVs, with decks. So the span of attention has been reduced so much that right now you have between 2, 3 to 5 seconds to actually hook up, get the attention pretty quick.
Yeah.
If you manage to get that in the first 2 or 3 seconds, we can keep going. But if you don't hook me up at start, I would just probably scan it through pretty quick, go to the next, right?
Delete, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And that book, Hook Points, I mean, I think it's amazing to actually understand how to build that up and how to think it through, how to not reinvent the wheel, because we don't need to, but to be different, show up. I mean, if you have got 100 companies, what makes you different from the others?
Yeah.
Why should I be working with you and not the other 99?
Yeah, I see. Good point. Cool. All right. So
How about you, Scott?
Oh, gee, I've got heaps of favorite business books. Where would I start? Well, there's a good one I read it recently, actually, called Lean Analytics, which is based on the Lean Startup. I can't remember the author of the book. I think it's Ari something. But yeah, you've obviously heard of the Lean Startup with Eric Ries.
Yeah.
Yeah, this book is based off that series, so it's a different author, but it's based off the same concept. And they go into, they break it down, the 5 stages of a SaaS company, and sort of how you start off with an idea and then eventually scale it. So that's probably at the moment my favorite book. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So what are you curious about or researching right now regarding SaaS or software in general?
Well, we are very much into the DeFi world. As I said with Challenger X, we are in a position to mint a token for a social token for any of the clubs that we would like to. So we've been doing lots of research into how to, I would say, leverage that token into the club's benefit. We are talking with experts. We have 2 or 3 guys working with us that are blockchain pros, community pros. There's plenty of stuff around to play with that, which at first we knew the basics, but frankly we didn't know enough. And I'm glad that we are up to doing all that research into it, because it's fascinating. I mean, the things that you can do, for instance, there's Discord channels with Discord bots that can be done, allowing you to identify and classify people by how many tokens do they own of a certain, like for instance, how many Salah tokens do you own, and classify you into different categories, and actually giving those people different benefits for owning those tokens. I mean, and the amount of things that you can do through that, it's just endless. You can have, for instance, if tomorrow it's your birthday, you can have one of your favorite player sending you a video wishing you happy birthday, just because you own a certain amount of tokens.
Yeah, I see.
Things like that, and you can play around it so much.
Okay.
We had a guy the other day. Sorry, I've been talking too much.
Yeah.
We had a guy that the other day that came to us and said, "I die for being able to make the kickoff of a game live. So I would come to Salah, I would be there, and I would love to be the guy in charge of doing the kickoff of the game.
Oh, okay.
And that's my dream."
Yeah.
And that can be done. Right now, thanks to tokenization, I believe, you can do whatever you want. And it's just a matter of, they call it contracts that need to be created into the blockchain, which is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And once you have that, then you can just do it.
Awesome.
And there's nothing to stop you. Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, excellent. So just to wrap up, where can people go to find out more about Unicorn Incubator?
I'd say that the first way to reach out is through LinkedIn. Lucas Caneda is my name, so LUCASCANEDA. Pretty easy to find, pretty reactive too, so don't hesitate. And then unicornincubator.com, pretty easy too. There's some information in there, our contacts. Don't hesitate to come to us if you think there's a synergy, or if you need to hook up. There's always some works to work together if we are on the right space.
Cool. And it's unicorn with a Q, isn't it? Not a C.
Exactly. I tend to forget that because for me it became a habit, but it's unicorn with a Q. That's right.
Yeah, perfect. Just thought I'd better throw that in. All right, excellent. No problem. Thanks for being on the show, Lucas. I really appreciate your time. Take care.
It's been a complete pleasure, Scott. See you soon. Thank you.